Good morning, families. Happy day. It's not a morning announcement. That's what I'm used to, right? Good morning. Welcome to our virtual town hall on school reopening. This is our first session on what reopening might look like in September. I just want to let you all know that anything that is said at this meeting could change, right? It all depends on what happens with COVID-19. That's kind of the nature of this virus. So right now, if things go according to plan, this is some information that I can share about what would happen in September. But if the virus gets worse or anything changes, then obviously so does our plan. So just please keep that in the mind, in the background of everything I say today. So let's get started. So the goal of this is just to provide some clarity about our school reopening in the fall. And like I just said, anything can change. So it's important to continually to watch the news and stay in touch with us to keep abreast of what's going on. I want you to keep in mind 2 helpful websites. And by the way, I will be emailing out this exact PowerPoint and you'll be able to click on the links. But just so you know, the DOE has an information hub. It's posted here. If you just go to the DOE homepage, it's right at the top. And then you can always check our school website, ps100x.org, okay, for any updates and information. And of course, good old Class Dojo. Okay, so first item of business. As you all probably know by now, there is a process for choosing fully remote instruction. So if you would like your child to remain fully remote for the school year, at least for the beginning of the school year, you have to fill out the learning preference survey. I have it linked here in the presentation, but you can also find it on the DOE website, and you can also call 311 for this process. But what's very important to note is this. After August 7th, you cannot change your selection until the next window opens later on in the school year. And that's simply because as a principal and alongside my team, I have to plan for 50%, in my building, less than 50% in the building at any time. So I need to know which kids will not be in the building when I form my little cohorts. So if parents have the option of continuing to change their minds, it's really difficult to form the cohorts safely, right? So there will be other opportunities. So let's say you want fully remote now, but then decide later on in the year you want to go back into the building. That will be an option to you. But after August 7th, you cannot change for the beginning part of the year, okay? Okay, so I just mentioned cohort models. So because of the size of buildings, we have to form different cohorts of children to make sure that everyone can remain socially distanced. So we're aiming to provide instruction to at least, 33% to 49% of the children at one time. So it all depends on the size of classrooms. Every school is different, right? So some schools may have 2 cohorts, some schools may have 3 cohorts, but it all depends on the size of the building and how many staff and students are in the building at any time. Now, staff also has the option to file for medical accommodation. So we might have some staff members that are also teaching from home. In that case, we have less physical people in the building to cover students, so that also causes adjustments in the cohorts. So right now, what we're thinking of is a cohort where there's an organization where there's 2 cohorts, a group A and a group B. And group A would come on certain days of the week and group B would come on certain days of the week. However, that can change. It all depends on my numbers. If we have not that many kids staying fully remote and we have several teachers that are working from home, I may have to go into 3 cohorts, and that would look like this. That's model 2, where there are 3 live cohorts and then 1 fully remote cohort, okay? So that's only if we could not safely accommodate 2 cohorts. Okay, and again, I'm sharing this PowerPoint so you can look at these charts much closer later on. Okay, the main thing and the main goal of the entire New York City Department of Education and PS100 is the health and safety of all people that enter the building, adults, children, everyone. Okay, so we must make sure that we're promoting the behaviors that reduce the spread of COVID-19. We will be reteaching your children how to stay 6 feet apart, how to safely cough, how to wash their hands, right? We're gonna have to reteach all those things, and we're gonna do that in partnership with you at home. We, in our buildings, have to maintain physical distancing, which means everyone's gonna remain at least 6 feet apart, okay? That even includes, in the main office, we have to spread out people in the main office. We have to put those safety screens. There's gonna be a safety screen in front of the security desk so that we make sure everyone stays healthy. We cannot have more than 50% capacity in the building at all times. So on any normal school day, we would have probably like 650 adults and children in the building at any time. Now we're not going to have any more than 325. So it's a huge difference, which is why we have to form cohorts to make sure that we can all, not all be in the building at the same time. Face coverings, masks will be required in the building at all times. The only exceptions will be where developmentally and age appropriate, right? So we have a 3K coming into the building. It might be more difficult for the 3-year-olds to keep their masks on as long. So in those cases, while we will still be teaching them how to use their masks, the adults in the room will have additional personal protective equipment. And we are providing equipment for all staff and students to use. But if you prefer to have your child with their own mask, that is an option too, and I do recommend that as well. I also do want to encourage you all to practice wearing masks with your children for longer periods of time than they may be used to. Because remember, if they're in the building, they're going to be wearing their mask for much longer than, if you're just running to the grocery store here and there. So it would be a good idea to practice wearing the masks with your children. Hand washing and hand sanitizing. There will be increased access to hand washing stations and hand sanitizer stations throughout the school day and in the building. There will be designated hand washing times. I'm even thinking of, having a signal over the loudspeaker where it's time for everyone to wash their hands. We'll see how that goes, but there will be definitely more opportunities for hand washing. And the building will be marked with signage and floor markings, reminders to cover your cough, reminders to wear a mask, reminders to stay 6 feet apart, one-way traffic so that students can only go down staircases one direction in case, so that we don't cross paths and cross-contaminate, right? Oh, and also the buildings will be deeply sterilized and deeply cleaned every night. They have purchased electrostatic cleansers, which will vaporize the virus if it exists in the building. Okay, so let me just move my face here. Okay, so as you know, we are going with a blended learning model. So that means basically that some instruction is at home and some instruction is at school. Now, for those of you who are selecting fully remote for your children, they will have live instruction every day from a teacher. There will be live instruction daily. So rest assured that will happen. But for the majority of students, it will be a blended learning model where they're doing some of the work at home and some of the work at school. And it is super important that, the work that they're doing at home is completed, because when they come into the school building, it's all going to build on that. So if they didn't do the home component and then they want to do the school component, they're going to be lost. So it's really important that we're a partnership between home and school now more than ever. We will decide exactly what model we will use once we have our numbers, because certain models are better with certain numbers of cohorts. So that will be information to come in the future. Okay, another super important job for you families during the summer is to make sure that students have access to their NYCDOE student Google account. Now, for this past session of remote learning, we were using, student addresses at ps100x.org. That has to change now moving forward, because the DOE is going to put all the kids onto one system so that they have access to more tools. So even though the Google platform will look pretty similar to what they're used to, the way they log in will be different, because they have to use their DOE student account to log in. Now, to access the student account, you will need your child's student ID or OSIS number, and that can be found at the top of your child's report card. If you don't have that number, you can access it by calling Miss Cuevas, and she can access it for you, okay? I also posted here, and this link will be available to you when you get the slideshow, a helpful Vimeo video to show you how to create the account. It'll be very helpful if the students know how to get onto their account before the beginning of the school year. But of course, we will work hard to make sure that they're able to get connected with our help as well, okay? But I suggest you try to get that information before September. Now remember, we still have a ton more questions. I'm sure we have more questions than answers still at this point. I do have a meeting tomorrow with Chancellor Carranza, which hopefully will get some more clarity. And I aim to do meetings like this every couple of weeks now moving forward for the rest of the year, to just kind of, give a little update, give a little feedback, and answer any questions that you may have had from the previous meeting. So if you do have any questions, please either message myself or Ms. Cuevas with the questions, or email them to questions@ps100x.org, and we can start working on getting answers for you. And finally, I just want to thank you, as always, for being a partner in your child's education. This is not going to work without you as a partner. You know, we saw a little glimpse of that starting in March, but now more than ever, if this is going to be our new normal, we are going to need your support. And I thank you in advance for that, because I know that we're going to make it work together. So I found this quote from Henry Ford: "Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." And that's going to be the goal for this year, that we are working together, because it's the only way that our children will be successful. Okay? So I am thankful for you all for watching. Again, there will be another update in a couple of weeks. Please, please, please do not hesitate to ask any questions. I may not have the answer, but I will work hard to get it for you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will hope to see you soon.